Go look up what your car is worth today, right now, before you watch the rest of this. Because for the cars on this list, that number is the highest it will ever be again, and the window to act on it is closing fast. Here's the claim, and I don't make it lightly. Some of these cars will lose more value in the next 18 months than a good used car costs, and the people who own them have no idea it's happening yet. I've spent my life around cars and the people who own them, and I've watched this movie before. A vehicle gets expensive, complicated, and hard to trust, and the resale value quietly falls out the bottom while the owner's still making payments on the sticker price. Consumer Reports rated every one of these among the worst for reliability. That reputation is now catching up to them on the used market because buyers aren't stupid. Word gets around, and nobody pays top dollar for a car known to break. So this isn't a list of cars to avoid buying. It's a list of cars to sell if you're unlucky enough to own one, while somebody's still willing to pay real money for it. And number one is the one that'll make your jaw drop. A car that cost well over $100,000 new, that in a couple of years will be worth less than the paid-off truck sitting in your driveway right now. We'll get there. If you drive a simple, paid-off, reliable car, this whole list is going to feel like a warm bath of vindication. You already knew. Let's watch the numbers prove it. Number 15, the Nissan Leaf. We start with the car that wrote the book on electric depreciation. The Leaf has been around since the beginning, and the early ones taught an entire generation of buyers to fear a used EV. Here's the mechanism, because it's the reason the whole category got its reputation. The Leaf's battery has no active cooling. It just sits there and bakes, and over the years it loses range faster than a battery that's properly temperature managed. A used buyer looking at one has to wonder how much life is left in that pack. That fear alone crushes the resale value. Nobody wants to buy a range problem. An electric car, on average, loses around 57 to 59% of its value in 5 years. On the weakest ones, it's well past 70%. A gas car in the same stretch loses closer to 40. If you own one of these, the harsh truth is it's not going up from here. Sell it to someone who will use it as a cheap around-town commuter and do it while it still runs its range. Number 14, the Jaguar I-Pace. Jaguar's electric SUV was a genuine head-turner when it landed. Beautiful thing. It's also one of the fastest depreciating vehicles of any kind on the road. This one shows up on nearly every steepest depreciation study, and the reason is a stack of bad luck for the owner. It's a luxury EV, so the pool of used buyers who can afford it is small. It's a first-generation effort, so the technology already feels a generation behind, and it wears a badge with a long reputation for expensive repairs. Put those together, and the value doesn't drift down. It falls off a table. Here's the part that stings. A luxury EV like this can shed $4,000 a year or more in pure depreciation every year, whether you drive it or park it. The car loses money sitting in your garage overnight. If it's yours, every month you wait is money gone. The only move that helps you is selling sooner rather than later. Number 13, the Chevrolet Blazer EV. Now an American one, and this is where reliability and resale collide head-on. Consumer Reports pulled its recommendation from the Blazer EV over the electronics. Owners reported the screens freezing and shutting down, the climate control fighting them, and battery trouble. Here's how that becomes a resale problem. In this car, almost every function lives behind the touchscreen. A used buyer who's read about screens going dark mid-drive sees a risk, not a bargain, and prices it accordingly. A frozen infotainment unit that needs replacing is a $1,500 to $3,000 repair, and it's the kind of thing that scares a second owner off entirely. Chevrolet builds trucks that run forever. This is not one of them, and the used market has already figured that out. If you own one, the reliability reputation is only going to drag the value lower. Getting out early is the smart play. Number 12, the Audi Q4 e-tron. Back to luxury, and the same story in a nicer suit. Consumer Reports ranked Audi near the bottom as a brand this year, and the Q4 e-tron is a big reason. Climate system, electrical accessories, in-car electronics, and the EV battery and charging. Now stack the depreciation on top. It's a luxury EV, which means it sits in the fastest falling corner of an already fast falling market. The tax credit that softened the new price got captured by the first owner, and there's nothing left to prop up what you get selling it. An electrical fault out of warranty on one of these empties your wallet in a hurry, 4 figures before anyone touches the battery. A used buyer knows that and knocks thousands off their offer to cover the risk they're taking. Premium badge, shaky electronics, collapsing resale. If it's in your driveway, it is not aging into a classic. Sell it while the badge still carries some weight. 4 cars in, and the pattern's already clear. The newest, most complicated, most expensive machines are the ones losing money the fastest. Next, it gets closer to home, because the following ones are family vehicles people bought specifically to keep. Number 11. The Genesis GV60. Genesis has spent a fortune trying to convince buyers it belongs next to Lexus and BMW. On the used market, the badge hasn't earned that trust yet, and the GV60 is where it shows. Consumer Reports flagged it for the EV battery, the charging system, the climate control, and the infotainment. The parts that make it an electric car are the parts owners complain about. Here's the resale trap. A new luxury EV from an established brand already sheds value fast. A new luxury EV from a brand still building its name sheds it faster because used buyers won't pay a premium for a badge they don't yet trust. Compare it to a plain Genesis gas sedan, which is a genuinely well-regarded car. Same company, but the electric one carries all the depreciation risk and all the reliability question marks. If you own a GV60, you're holding the steepest part of that curve right now. The longer you keep it, the more of that six-figure adjacent sticker quietly disappears. Number 10. The Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. The family minivan, and this one hurts because of who buys it. People choose a Pacifica Hybrid to be the safe, sensible, reliable family hauler and to save a little at the pump. Consumer Reports pulled its recommendation over trouble across the transmission, the powertrain, the brakes, and the electronics. A minivan with a bad reliability reputation is a hard thing to sell. The whole point of the vehicle is dependability, and once that's in question, the used buyers walk. Add the hybrid complexity on top. A powertrain fault out of warranty on this can turn into a $2,000 to $5,000 repair and a week without your only family vehicle. Here's the honest math for an owner. Every month, the reliability reputation spreads a little further, and every month, your resale offer gets a little lower. If you've been thinking about moving on from one of these, waiting doesn't help you. Number 9. The Mazda CX-90. Mazda as a brand builds reliable cars, which makes this one the exception that proves the rule. It's the plug-in hybrid version that draws the trouble. Consumer Reports flagged the battery, the EV system, the steering, and the suspension. A plug-in hybrid is the most complicated thing in any driveway, a full gas drivetrain and a full electric one bolted together, and every extra part is another thing a used buyer worries about. Here's the comparison that makes the point. A regular gas CX-90 holds its value like a normal Mazda. The plug-in version carries the complexity and the reliability questions, and the resale reflects it. A steering or suspension repair on one of these runs $1,200 to $2,500, and that's before the hybrid system acts up. You didn't buy a more valuable car by adding the plug. You bought a more complicated one that's harder to sell. If it's yours, sell it as a low-mileage example, while that still means something. Number 8. The Ford F-150 Lightning. Now the one that hits this audience square in the chest, because it's a truck. An F-150, the best-selling vehicle in America for 40 years. The electric one is a different animal, and the used market has been brutal to it. Electric trucks sit right alongside luxury EVs in the fastest depreciating group for the same reasons. The battery anxiety, the tax credit that vanished, and buyers who aren't sure the technology will age well. A retired iron worker I know bought one 2 years ago, loved the thing, then went to see what the dealer would give him against a gas truck. The number they quoted him was so far under what he owed that he just kept the Lightning and walked out shaking his head. That gap is the whole story. He did nothing wrong. The truck lost a fortune while he was making payments on it. Here's my question for you, and I want it in the comments. Would you ever buy an electric pickup? Or is a truck the one thing you'll keep with a gas engine until they pry the keys away? Tell me below. I read them, and I've got a strong hunch which way this crowd leans. If you own a Lightning, the value isn't coming back with the next model year. It's dropping toward it. Selling now beats selling later, every time. That's the family vehicles and the trucks. From here down, we're into the six-figure machines, where the money doesn't just leak out, it hemorrhages. Number 7, the Tesla Model Y, the best-selling electric car in the world and one of the fastest ways to watch money evaporate. The Model Y loses right around 60% of its value over 5 years. On a car that started in the 50s, that's more than $30,000 gone. Here's why the most popular EV depreciates so hard. There are simply so many of them. Huge production year after year floods the used market, and when supply is that deep, prices have nowhere to go but down. Tesla makes it worse by cutting the price of new ones whenever it feels like it. Every time the new price drops, every used one on the road drops with it, and the owner had no say in it. If you own a Model Y, understand you're holding an appliance in a market swimming in identical appliances. The value only softens from here. Sell into demand, not into next year's price cut. Number 6. The Tesla Model X, now the big Tesla, and the depreciation gets uglier. The Model X sheds better than 63% of its value in 5 years. On the sticker these carried, that's north of $50,000 gone. It's the luxury SUV problem stacked on the EV problem. Used buyers don't pay a premium for luxury features the way the first owner did, and they won't pay for 5-year-old EV technology either. Two forces pulling the same direction straight down. And as newer, longer-range electric SUVs keep arriving, every one of them makes the older Model X look more dated and worth less. A six-figure family SUV that becomes a $30,000 used car while you're still remembering what you paid. If it's in your garage, the exit ramp is now, not after another model year knocks another chunk off. Number 5. The BMW iX, BMW's flagship electric SUV, and a case study in how fast luxury EV money disappears. The iX loses better than 2/3 of its value in 5 years. And here's the twist that should worry any owner. BMW keeps building it, reportedly straight through 2027, which means the used market gets flooded with newer ones while yours gets older underneath them. That's the worst possible setup for resale. Falling desirability on your car, rising supply of the newer version, and a luxury badge that used buyers won't pay full freight for once the warranty's in sight. Speaking of the warranty, that's the cliff nobody warns you about, and it's exactly why I make these videos. If you want a mechanic telling you when to hold and when to sell, instead of a salesman telling you what's easy to finance, do me a favor and subscribe. It's free, and it's the thing that keeps this straight talk coming. Because the last few cars are where the warranty cliff turns a bad deal into a disaster. Number 4. The Porsche Taycan. Porsche's electric sedan is a stunning machine, and financially, one of the worst luxury EVs you can own. The Taycan gives up right around 60% of its value in 5 years. On a car that stickers where these do, the dollar figure is staggering, easily $60,000 or $70,000 of loss. Here's the mechanism that makes a Porsche of all things depreciate like this. A Porsche used to hold value because the engine and the driving experience were legendary and lasting. Strip the engine out, make it electric, and you've removed the exact thing that made a used Porsche worth chasing. Now it's a heavy, complex, expensive-to-service EV, and the used buyer prices in every bit of that risk. Out-of-warranty electrical work at Porsche labor rates is a genuinely frightening prospect, and a smart buyer knocks tens of thousands off to account for it. If you own a Taycan, the badge is not saving you here. The value curve treats it like any other luxury EV, which is to say it's falling fast. Sell it while it's still under warranty and still turns heads. 3 cars left, and every one of them proves the same brutal point. The more a car costs new, the more of your money it's about to take with it on the way down. Number 3. The Cadillac Lyriq. Cadillac's big electric bet and America's own luxury brand isn't spared from any of this. Consumer Reports scored the Lyriq below average on reliability, and it carries every weight that sinks a luxury EV's resale. The high price that shrinks the used buyer pool, the first-generation technology, the tax credit that helped the first owner and does nothing for the second. Here's the pattern worth noticing. Cadillac spent decades as the car you bought when you'd made it, the reward car, the keep it forever car. This one is the opposite. It's the car that quietly takes a chunk of your savings every month you own it. A used buyer looking at a 3-year-old Lyriq sees a big, complex, out-of-warranty electric Cadillac and a repair risk they can't estimate. So they offer far less than you'd ever expect, and they're right too. If it's yours, the Wreath and Crest aren't holding the line on value. Sell it while it's still current because the newer ones will make it look old in a hurry. Number 2, the BMW i7, the electric 7 Series. BMW's flagship, the top of the whole range, and the single worst car for holding value that I found for this entire list. Sit with this number. The i7 is projected to keep just 26% of its price after 5 years. A $120,000 car worth around $30,000 5 years on. Nearly $90,000 gone. That's not depreciation, that's a demolition. Everything works against it at once. It's enormously expensive new, so the fall has a long way to go. It's a first-generation electric flagship, so the technology dates fast. And it's a big luxury BMW out of warranty, which is one of the most expensive things you can possibly own. The first owner eats nearly the entire value of the car. If that's you, and it's approaching the end of its warranty, there is no version of waiting that helps you. The value is running downhill and picking up speed. And that brings us to number 1, the one that captures this whole story in a single car. Number 1, the Mercedes-Benz EQS. This was supposed to be the future, the electric S-Class. Mercedes took the most respected luxury sedan in the world and reinvented it as an EV, and the result is the clearest cautionary tale on this list. The EQS depreciates so hard that lightly used examples routinely trade for around half of what the first owner paid, sometimes less. A car that stickered well past $100,000, landing in the 50s or lower after just a couple of years. Here's the comparison that ought to stop you cold, and it's why this is number one. Picture the paid-off truck or sedan sitting in your driveway right now. Reliable, simple, worth what it's worth, and not dropping much. Now picture a 2-year-old EQS. In another year or two, that six-figure Mercedes will be worth less than your ordinary, sensible, paid-off vehicle. The flagship of the fanciest brand in the world, worth less than the car you almost feel embarrassed to park next to it. That's not an insult to your car. That's the highest compliment the market can pay it. The people who bought the EQS chased the newest, fanciest, most complicated thing on the lot, and the market punished them for it. You kept the simple thing that works, and the market is quietly proving you were right the whole time. So there it is, 15 cars, and look at what they had in common. Not one of them was old, not one was worn out. Every single one was expensive, complicated, and new, and everyone is bleeding value fast enough that the smart move is to get out before 2027. The badge on the hood didn't protect a single owner. The reliability reputation caught up to all of them, and the resale value is paying the price. Meanwhile, the paid-off car in your driveway, the one they told you was too old, too simple, too plain, is quietly the smartest financial decision on your whole street. It owes you nothing, it costs you nothing, and it isn't dropping thousands a year while it sits. You weren't behind the times, you were ahead of them. If this hit the way I think it did, go watch the one I made on the 15 brand new cars and trucks rotting on dealer lots right now because nobody wants them either. It's the same story from the other end of the lot, and it's on your screen. Drive the one that's paid for. I'll see you in the next one.